welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time of coming across my channel Style by C, do subscribe, turn on your notification bell, give us a thumbs up and share to your friends. On today's tutorial, we'll be talking on how to make a simple shift gown as in the video. Let's make a shift dress together. So I'll be working with this piece of fabric and these are my materials for work. So I'll be making a shift dress with this. So the first thing I have to do is to mark out the length of my gown. So I'm working with the length of 40 inches, 2 inches extra for my folding or hemming allowance. The length is 38 inches. I added extra 2 inches. So this is my start point, which is going to serve as my shoulder line too. So now what do I do here? I'm going to mark 3 inches for my neck measurement, neck width. All right, then my shoulder measurement is 7.5 inches. All these are starting from the start point. Then for my sleeve length, how long I want the sleeve to be, I'll be working with 8 inches plus extra 2 inches seam allowance. So this is what I have. I marked it here. Alright, so now from this point that the 8 inches stops, that's the sleeve length, I'll be coming down by 1 inch. So this is the 1 inch. Then from my neck width, I'm going to connect it to that 1 inch, making my shoulder slope. Alright, so this is what I have. Then the next thing I'm going to mark is from this 1 inch now, I'm going to come down by 10 inches. That is my sleeve, round sleeve measurement, and where my bust measurement will be inserted. Alright, then from the start point now, I'm going to mark to 16 inches for my waist measurement. So this is my waist measurement. Then the next thing I'm going to mark is from this waist measurement, I'm going to come down, mark 8 inches. That is my hip measurement. Alright, so this is what I have. Okay, so I can decide to cut it out like this, then start cutting out the back. But before then, I'm going to be inputting my round measurement. So I'll start with the bust measurement. My bust measurement is 34. The quarter of it is 8.5. That's 34 divided by 4. My waist is 28, which is 7 when you divide it by 4. And the hip is 36, 9. So I'll be adding extra 3 inches to it. Added 3 inches extra. Alright. Now I'm going to make a curve from this point in. Remember? So I'm going to make a curve in. Now I'm going to ignore this my 7 inches, my waist measurement that is here. I'm going to curve it in to the hip. Then I'll go down. Alright, so this is what I have. I ignore this my waist measurement that is here. So the next thing I'll do now is to cut it out. Then I'm going to cut this off. So I'll be using this piece now to cut out for the back. Alright, so this is going to serve as my front. So now I'm going to be talking on the neck area. How are we going to cut the neck? So now we have two pieces. This, let's assume this is the front and this is our back. All right. So now what do? I'm going to mark 2 inches down. This is for the back neck. All right, and I'm going to connect it. This is the width of my neck, 3. The depth is 2 inches for the back. Then for the front neck, it's having a slit. It's a two-way neck. So I'm going to be marking 7 inches. Now, it depends on how deep you want it to be. You can decide to mark 8, but 7 is okay by me. So I've marked the 7 inches and I'm going to divide it into 2, which is going to give me 3.5, which I have here. So the first neck is going to stop at 3.5. Then the remaining 3.5 will be my slit. So this is it. This is what I marked. So now I'm going to cut it out. So I'm cutting this and this together. This is the back neck. Alright. Then I'm going to cut this alone for the front. So I want to cut a facing for my back, for my front. First of all, this is the front back facing. This is what it looks like. So the same thing I'm doing now, that's what I did for the back. Alright, just that now my fabric is not enough, so I had to fold it into 2. So I'm going to stitch here to give me 1 piece. Alright, then I'm going to adjust this up. Remember, we have is a 2-side neck, this upper part, then the one that has a slit. So I'll be leaving few inches down. This is where my 7 stops. I'm leaving few inches here. So I'm going to cut this out. Then I'm going to trim this. So this is what my facing will look like. You can decide to make it bold, you can decide to make it very tiny, any one you want to make. Alright, so now I'm going to run a stitch here to close it up. So I have 1 piece of fabric this way. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do now is, this is my front facing. Alright, so I'm going to join it. Remember I said I'll be joining it. So that's what I'll do now. This is for the front one. So this is where the remaining 3.5 stops. So I'm going to put a slit to it. Alright, so this is the slit. I will not allow it to get to the end. Then I'm going to make a mark here and make a mark here. Then I'm going to pull it out this way. That's turn it inside. So if you have a hemming gum, you go ahead and iron it, or you can decide to tack it. Anyone you feel like doing. Okay. So you iron it so it will have very well. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to join the 2 shoulders together. That is the front piece and the back piece together. So after joining the shoulders together, this is how I've joined the shoulder. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold or hem the sleeve area, this side. Alright, so I'm going to hem it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to hem the bottom part or the base of my gown. Alright, so that's what I will do now. I'm going to hem the base. The next thing I'll be doing now is I'll be marking my shaping allowance. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. So remember we added extra 3 inches to our measurements. So I'll be shaping with 1.5 inches. Alright, so the gown will be 1.5 inch free. I'm adding extra 1.5 inches to make it free because it's a shaped gown. So now the waist measurement, which is 7 inches plus 1.5, which will give us 8.5, which is here. The bust measurement is 8.5. I'll be adding extra 1.5 to it. Alright, so I'm connecting it to this. The hip is 9. which is here, plus extra 1.5 inch. So I'm going to mark it, then connect it to the bottom or the base. Then for this area, the sleeve area, it depends on how tight or how good you want your hips to be. So I'm working with 7.5 inches, or let me say I'm working with 8 inches. All right. So I'm going to connect it to my bust measurements that I've already marked. The same thing I did here, that's the same thing I also applied to this other side of the dress. So this is what I have 7 here, plus 1. I'll connect it. Then here, I have 9 plus 1.5. I'll connect it. Now I'll be attaching a pocket to this dress. So how do I mark where my pocket is going to be? From this line point I've marked for the sleeve, the round sleeve measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 10 inches from that point. And this is where my 10 inches falls. So I'm going to mark my 10 inches here. Then I'm going to be giving 7 inches spacing. This for my pocket. So I'm going to do the same thing to this part. So I'm going to run a stitch now from here, and I'll stop here that I have my 10 inches, then start again from this 7 inches space I gave to the bottom. The same thing I will do to this side, then after which I will insert my pockets.